Hey everyone, and welcome to Cooking with Chef AJ and Friends. Today I am going to be cooking along with my friend Vegan Michele, and we're going to be doing like a Freaky Friday. We're not going to change bodies, but we're going to do a recipe swap. She's going to make one of my recipes that she likes that I also love. It happens to be my favorite from my new book, Sweet Indulgence. And I'm going to make one of her recipes on her blog. It's called Veggie Breakfast Tacos. So let's get cooking. How are you, Michele?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Good. Thanks for doing this with me. This seems like it'd be a really fun way to share recipes.
Absolutely. I love it. It's a great
Yeah.
concept.
Because we already know how to do our own recipes, and we can show people that our recipes are so easy that anybody could do it. I did not practice this recipe. So just so you know.
Cool. I love it. I think it's great. I'm really excited to make this. I have peaches for the filling of this fruit tartlet, which is from your brand new cookbook. And
Looks like you have beautiful fruit in there, like peaches and maybe
yep,
strawberries.
I'm going to do peaches. I know you recommended strawberries, but I love peaches. And right now is like the perfect time. So peaches it is.
No, peaches are great. The only reason I recommend strawberries is because it's my favorite fruit, but peaches work absolutely great. So, your recipe is called Veggie Breakfast Tacos, but I hope you don't mind that in my house it's going to be Veggie Dinner Tacos because it's such a delicious, hearty recipe. I mean, why not have it for dinner, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that sounds great.
First thing I got to do is preheat my pot here. So
Okay.
I'm just turning my pot up right now. What I thought I'd show people, because you also saute without oil, is the little trick. And I'm sure you know this trick is that you know that the pan's hot enough when the water dances around in little beads.
Mm-hmm. That's
So
awesome.
I'm waiting for that. And I know you called for veggie broth. I'm too cheap. I never have it. So I'm just going to keep some water here. And it really, the longest part of this recipe was boiling the water to boil the potatoes for 5 minutes. And you say in the blog that you could do that in advance.
Totally. Yeah. It's all good. I mean, you can make this as simple as you want.
Well, I don't know if you have this tool, Michele, but the way I cut the potatoes, I just have to show this. This is my favorite tool, the Vidalia Chop Wizard. It's great on onions. And what I do is I use the little tiny potatoes that come in 3 colors. And all you do is boom. It's so easy. And that's how I cut all the potatoes. And even though this one's not boiled, I'm just going to throw it in anyway, just like that, because it is so good. What's your favorite recipe of your recipes?
I'm trying to think of what we eat the most frequently. I would say one of the most simple things that we eat pretty much every single week as a family are just roasted potatoes and a huge salad. That's something that everybody in my family likes. It's easy to put together. But from my book, Eating Whole, we do enchiladas a lot. I like Mexican food, so
I
one of my
love Mexican
favorites.
food. Well, we're both in California, so.
Yes.
And we're not that far from each other, but we're far enough that we can't see each other regularly, but we're not so far that we can never see each other.
Exactly, exactly.
Michele came to one of our potlucks, and you guys don't know this, but she got a set of pipes. She's like literally a Broadway actress, singer, dancer. You blew the band away. Like, I said to them, hey, is it okay if my friend sings with you? And they're like, oh yeah, fine. Like thinking, and then they just were like speechless. Your voice is incredible.
Thank you. Thanks for letting me do that. It was super fun. My kids
Oh
were
man,
like, "Why
come
are we
back
here?"
any time.
Okay,
So
thank you. I appreciate the invite.
yeah, absolutely. This will take quicker on your stove, guys. I'm using like a little camp stove, but you can tell it's ready because I take my water and you can hear it and it starts sizzling around. So now I'm going to add the ingredients. And like I said, I use you've probably seen these, Michele. It comes like purple and red and white little organic potatoes. Not sure
Yeah.
which way I go. And so these have already been boiled for literally only 5 minutes. And I'm just going to pour it in the pan. And you say to also put in the bell pepper. So I noticed that there's no onion in this recipe, and I'm curious, was that intentional?
I mean, absolutely. Probably what it was is I went to go make a recipe and I didn't have onion in my refrigerator. So
Right.
that's probably what it was. Throw some onion in there. That would be great.
I'm not doing it. I'm trying to follow it exactly with one exception. I just don't really have any salt except for Epsom salt to take a bath with, and it wouldn't taste good in here. So I have a little salacious on hand. Were you able to taste the spices when you came to the meetup? This is one of my favorites. So if
No,
it
I
needs
saw
salt, I'll
all
put
of those. They look
salacious.
amazing.
They're so good. And I just have a little chili powder just standing by just in case. But your spices you call for my favorite, which is smoked paprika and garlic powder. So I'm just going to have to let these dance around for a little bit if you want to maybe start part of your recipe.
Yeah, sure. So what I'm going to do first is make the crust. So I've got 2 cups of rolled oats here. I'm going to put it into a food processor with the S blade. And I've got a lot of dates. I don't remember how many. I measured it out. Do you remember how many dates are in your recipe?
12 ounces.
12 ounces, yes. And then I'm also going to put in a teaspoon of vanilla bean paste is what I have. You call for powder, but I feel like
I have not seen the paste. Where do you get it?
well, it happened by accident. I couldn't find the powder that I normally buy, and I was in Trader Joe's and they had vanilla bean paste. And so I thought I'd give it a try because it was actually pretty inexpensive. And I believe it was organic too. So that's what I have. And I'm going to put that in there. And then I'm going to go ahead and process this. Hopefully, it won't be super duper loud on your end. Okay, here I go. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so your recipe says, and I realized once I already pressed go, that to do the oats first to make a flour, and I did not do that.
It's actually, you know what? I'll be honest, it should work anyway. And Michelle, I like the toothsomeness of not doing it into a flour. I gave people the option because some people like to buy oat flour, but I like it better the less ground and it has that texture. And what I was doing while you were processing is I noticed the pan started to get a little bit dry, so I just added a little bit of oil.
Perfect.
Oil, what am I saying?
What? Oh.
I was just testing you to see if you heard me correctly. Oh my God. No, leave it in.
I just added this cup of oil. It was no big deal.
It's just a couple. That is so funny. You know, I do so much voice to text. I mean, I was telling somebody that they should come for a fish dinner tonight. And I just, I don't know what I'm thinking or saying. But this is so pretty. And I think it's even prettier because I use the combo potatoes. And I think everything tastes better in purple.
Oh, for sure. You know? Yeah, I'm going to grind this one more time, and then I'll keep you updated. You cook over there with all that oil.
Sure. I'm going to cook with my liquid oil, which is actually water, and just add a little bit. And I'm not going to add the spices until this is cooked. And like I say, when you cook on a camp stove like this, it's going to take a little bit longer than if I was doing it on the stove, but it really is just about ready. And Michelle says to cook it down until the broth is absorbed. In this case, since I'm using water. So I'm too cheap to buy broth, Michelle, you know?
That's okay. I get it. Like everybody's got their thing that is important and it'll work just fine with water. So here's what mine looks like. I'm going to press it into my pan now and make the crust.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
What's really fun is because I know you have kids, you can make these individual too.
Oh, yeah. I wanted to do that. I just don't have the pans, but I thought that was such a great idea.
You can free form it. It's not that hard. So you're a family of 4, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to free form it, divide the dough into 4 segments, roll them into a ball, press it with your palm, and do a handmade rustic lip. That's why you can do it if you want. It's actually easier to cut that way.
Oh, that's a cute idea. I think I'm going to make a full one because I just want to see how beautiful it is, like at the end.
It is so pretty. It is so pretty when it's a full one.
Yeah. I was getting the ingredients for this and just like salivating, thinking like, oh my gosh, that sounds so delicious right now. And I love things like this because, of course, my kids like sweet foods. And so this is such a healthy way to give them fruit and sweetness, but not have it be bad for them.
It is really, you know, people are always asking me what my favorite recipe is from the book. And believe it or not, it's probably straight up banana ice cream. But after that, it is the rustic fruit tart. And it's on page 111. And this is an example of it, what it looks like if somebody made it into a little berry tart. But you can literally use any fruit you have left over. I've used grapes. I've used even, you know, sometimes I've had leftover canned pineapple. It just doesn't matter. What did you macerate your berries in?
I juiced this morning and I had a little bit of apple juice that I just threw an apple in first. And that's what I ended up using to soak the peaches in and macerate them. And I left them in for 4 hours in the fridge. So
you can macerate in water, you can macerate in juice, you can macerate in good quality balsamic vinegar. So it doesn't have to be a sugar syrup like they sometimes do. I really think mine is ready, but I'll just keep it cooking until it's time. It's actually, I'm going to add these spices right now, the smoked paprika and the chili powder. And I think I might just add a dash of, actually that was smoked paprika and garlic powder. And I'm going to add, oh, it smells so good. I'm going to add a dash of just chili powder since I'm not using any salt. But smoked paprika has, if you don't use salt, smoked paprika, it can be one of the best spices you ever use because it just smells good,
I agree. I had somebody ask me the other day, what's with all you vegans and the smoked paprika? I'm like, I don't know. I guess it just tastes good.
It's just a great spice. And it's different than regular Hungarian paprika.
Yeah.
I really think mine is done. So I am going to turn this off and I'll cover it so it stays hot. And then I'll plate it up. That's how easy this recipe was. Perfect. And what's really fun about it is we're going to customize this and make it our own, with what we put on it. So let me get my. If you live closer, we could eat this together.
I know. I was going to thank you for bringing over dessert.
Yeah. Oops.
Right. I'm not sure. I never got to see the photo of this recipe, so I'm not sure how you plated it up. And it was so close or so tiny in my screen, I didn't see it just now. But I'm just trying to make it. I'm sure you could just plop it in there, but I want to make it look a little bit nice. And I'm going to just roll my peaches, put them in a little thing. So with the peaches, they already smell absolutely delicious, but what do you like to macerate them in? What's your favorite?
I usually use California balsamic, and it really doesn't need more than 1 to 2 tablespoons. Mm-hmm. And one of the sweeter flavors, like a strawberry or a peach, and it's just a little squirt, and that's what I do.
I bet that would be really delicious.
Yeah. But when I don't have that, which is actually never, and then I would probably do some fruit juice, like you say, apple juice, pineapple juice, orange juice. I try to complement the fruit with the vinegar. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, this is going okay.
What's really fun about Michelle's recipe is you can customize this to your family's liking because they're gonna make their own taco. This is how fast it is. If you have all your ingredients prepped. One of the things I would love in general on tacos would be avocado, but this little guy just is not ripe. And so we're not going to be able to use it tonight. And I also made some baked chips because what's Mexican food without some chips on the side?
Nice.
These are just corn tortillas that I cut in eighths. I put them in the air fryer at 325 for 5 minutes on the air fryer tray. So easy. They're so crisp and so delicious. And then people can have them with their tacos or just dip them in some salsa. This is pico de gallo. And what I have here is some toppings that people could put. So Michelle gave a whole list of things you could do, and I just used what I had in my house. So I have some shredded carrots. I have some shredded purple cabbage. I also had white, but I chose purple. I've got some scallions, which I chopped up, and some cilantro. And I took a bag of organic frozen corn out of the refrigerator because I thought that would be good because we also have the black beans. So I'm going to make a taco and I'm going to take my corn tortilla. These are the kind that literally are just corn, or it says corn masa and a trace of lime. There's nothing else in them. Sometimes tortillas can have stuff in them you don't want, like chemicals and salt and things. So I make sure I get the softer ones that are pliable. And I wish I had one. I used to have that little taco stand from the 99-cent store.
Oh, yeah.
I give everything away. Like if I don't use it for like a day or a week, I'm like, okay, you can have it. And then I'm like, okay, I wish I didn't give it away. So those of you that have stuff that I've given you, give it back. No, just kidding. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give a nice serving of the filling. And again, I want to not fill it all the way only because I want room for the toppings. But even if you didn't like toppings, this would be amazing. And so I'm going to put a little corn in. And I don't eat 100% organic. I strive to, but corn is one of the things that I always make sure it's organic. And look at all the beautiful colors. We're going to have the purple cabbage and the orange carrots. And then, of course, the onion. Yum, yum, yum. And the cilantro. Oh my gosh, look at this. Yum. This is delicious. We'll put some chips on the side. I will add the salsa. Actually, It's not even mealtime, but I want to eat this. So can I eat this? I've been told I can eat this. All right. I don't want it to ruin my dinner. It will be dinner and then some salsa. Okay. This is beautiful, you know? The only thing I don't like about tacos and why I prefer tostadas is when you eat tacos, you always have to turn your head, you know, to bite it.
Yeah. Easy, right? Anybody can do that. And something that I always share with people is that, you know, if people are saying, I'm the only one in my family who eats like this. This is like the perfect kind of meal that you can share with everybody. I don't know who doesn't like tacos. And if somebody wants to put meat on their tacos, they can go and grill up their own stuff and then put it into addition to this. You don't have to, you know, make double meals for everybody. This is simple, it's easy, and pretty much any vegetable you want to do will fit into a wrap or a corn taco. So just make it your own for sure.
It's really delicious and it's very hearty because you have the starch from the corn tortilla. I got the starch from the potatoes, and then people can choose to add the rice or beans. Mine is falling apart, but oh well, it's still very, very delicious.
Awesome. So in the meantime, I've put my tartlet together. I've got my peaches here. I just kind of line them up prettily. I noticed that in the recipe, and I wanted to do this, but we were talking and I just didn't. You say preheat, you can preheat the oven to 325 and then pop the crust in there. And I think that would be a fantastic addition. But also I think this is probably going to taste just as good raw. So then just put it in the fridge for a little bit. Yeah.
And so the reason I did that, Michelle, is because I'm not in somebody's kitchen when they're prepping. And I have found that when people use medjool dates, they are much stickier than when people use the drier deglet nor dates. And so I was finding that with the medjool, people were kind of having a little trouble cutting it, getting out of the thing. And so when I do cook it, it's like, it's really quick. And you can keep it raw, actually, because my friend Lissa said that you can buy now sprouted raw oats. And if somebody wanted it a little bit firmer, then you could just dehydrate it for a few minutes just to get that little bit of stickiness off. If you're going to eat it right away, it's raw. But sometimes I pre-make like batches of the crust, and that's why I like to have it a little bit for 5 minutes. But that's completely optional.
That's great. I love it. I love all those options. And then I have so much fresh mint in just all over. I think last year I was planting mint and the box or the bag had a hole in it. It's everywhere. It's literally everywhere. You cut the grass, it smells like mint. So I've got lots of fresh mint, and that was one of the things that I'm going to garnish with according to your recommendation. That smells really good. Shall I eat some? It's beautiful.
Absolutely. That is really beautiful. And I love the way you made it so pretty on top.
Thank you. Let me get a cutting board because I know it's supposed to be in the fridge for a bit, but I want to taste it and see how it goes. And I didn't have a springform pan, so I'm wondering.
Yeah, you can use a regular pie pan too. What's nice about a spring form is you can push it up, if you want to put it on
that's
a
the best. I always call this part, if you don't have that, surgery, because we're lifting this patient from one bed to the next. Okay, there we go. Did it.
It's right. The first piece is always the hardest to get out.
Let's see. Oh, this looks so pretty. And I'm just going to pop it back in that again, and then I will let it.
And make sure you show it right to the camera so that we can see how beautiful it is.
Okay. I put a tiny one. Okay. Smells so good. And that fresh mint too.
You could eat it for breakfast. It's literally fruit and oats.
I know. I love that. I absolutely love that. I'm going to transfer this back here. Go back.
It's pie that you can eat as breakfast if you want.
Breakfast pie. Let me get a fork.
Yeah, so what I like to do is I like to make the mini tarts. I bake them for 5 minutes, and then I'll have like 8 or 12. That is gorgeous.
Yes, so pretty. My piece doesn't look as pretty just because I feel like it needs to go in the fridge for a moment. But let me have a taste. I mean, how can you go wrong with those ingredients?
Well, you can't, because it's just like eating oatmeal, except instead of cooking it, it's raw. It's delicious, isn't it? I hope your kids will like it.
I think they will. They both love peaches, and they both love dates, and they both love oatmeal. So what's not to love?
Yeah.
My son's favorite thing is like an oatmeal date ball. So that's good. Yeah. Thank you, AJ.
Well, thank you. And I wish mine looked as pretty as yours, but unlike you, I kind of almost ate the whole thing. So Well, this was a lot of fun. Maybe we can cook together again sometime.
I would love that.
That's great. And where can people find you and follow you and connect with you?
You can find me with the date in my mouth, still chewing and talking. You can find me on YouTube under Vegan Michele. You can go to my website, veganmichele.com, and Vegan Michele on Instagram as well. I think it's Vegan Michele across the board.
I hope you stay vegan because all your channels are Vegan Michele now.
I know, right? There's no choice. I've been doing this for almost 18 years. I can't go back now.
Absolutely. You know, I was watching and this thing popped up on Facebook, like, and you're doing like this something called Freezer Fit. What is that? That looks so cool.
Yeah, that's pretty old. I did years ago, probably when my daughter was born. So almost like 4 years ago, it was a company, they asked me to do about 100 vegan recipes for them. And it's just in an Instant Pot. But we kind of parted ways because they wanted more like processed, soy products and all of this, which I don't really, I don't eat, I don't recommend eating. And so I did my 100 recipes with them and parted ways.
The whole process of just, I watched the video and you were fabulous. Just the way you did the prep, even if people don't do that exact technique, it just shows that if you do a little bit on the front end, meals will magically appear.
Yes. And I feel like that's the most, like I said, I've been eating this way for a long time. That's really one of the most sustainable ways you can do this. If you're watching this and you're brand new, is give yourself a little bit of a favor by not winging it. If you're winging it, you're going to probably screw up. So a little bit of prep and a little bit of forethought at the beginning of your week can make a world of difference. For me, if I have some salad dressings already made, then I know that I'm going to eat salads because I already made it and I already spent the time doing that, which wasn't that much time. But if I wash my lettuce ahead of time, I know I'm going to eat the lettuce. If I prep if I have frozen fruit in the freezer, I know I can throw that into a smoothie. It's just give yourself a leg up by a little bit of prep work.
That's right. Because when you wing it, you end up at Wendy's. No, just kidding. It actually isn't so bad because they have baked potatoes. So, well, thanks so much, Michele. I hope I see you soon in another meetup.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, AJ. It was great to see
you.
you and cook with you. And we're going to enjoy this pie. Thank you. This tartlet.
In person. And we're going to enjoy these tacos for dinner. And thanks to all of you for watching Chef AJ Cooking with Friends, or Chef AJ and Friends Cooking with Friends, or whatever we call it, because we make healthy taste delicious. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.